Today we're talking about balancing life, family, money, and love as self-employed business creators in 2023. Welcome to Music, Spirit, and Accountability with Jay Hode and Michael Cooper. All right, so we're starting today's session off with a bit of a laugh. Michael, how are you feeling today, brother?
There's a sense of overwhelm. It's the feeling.
What does a sense of
Yeah,
overwhelm look like to you? Are you talking like work-wise, or what are you talking there?
yeah, brother. You know when it comes in, it's all encompassing. You know, it's not one thing for me.
Mm.
I feel my mission. I'm not doing enough, so there's a sense of overwhelm, and there's more. I feel the pain both in the masculine and the feminine energies at the moment, and I'm like, I need to do more. And then there's obviously the work component of writing programs, and I come up with a new idea, and I've got to create a business model around that now. And yeah, there's that humanness in me still that wants to overachieve, be perfect, do more, not doing enough.
Yeah.
And so yeah, hence the overwhelm. It's all self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted, possibly necessary, but how do you manage that? I feel like this is just such a big part of being an entrepreneur in 2023 is or at any time really, but that balance, it takes out a lot of people before they even get started, is what I've seen and what I consistently see. I think it's a big part of often why people come to people like you and I to be coached, because they need that accountability and that direction to keep coming back to the center, to maybe focus on one thing at a time. So, how does that sit with you, and why are you choosing this path?
Yeah, it's 100% just got to come back to one thing. So, and depending on the stage the business you're in, for me at the moment, um, when you launch a new product or a new service or whatever that may be, the first and foremost thing you need to do is revenue, income producing everything, because to get it off the ground so that you can afford the marketing, so you're not bleeding out, you need the revenue to come through. So, that for me, that at the moment, am I producing one piece of content? Am I doing one thing today that's revenue producing?
Mm.
Um, Once I've done that, I can then go and, you know, I should probably do more of that. But then I can then go and satisfy the monkey mind and go, okay, cool. Here's a system. Here's a procedure. Here's something. Yeah. So, but then there's that mission as well, like the magnitude of what we're trying to achieve. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's always looming, right? I know your mission's massive, and there's a weight that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's a huge weight. I don't know, do you want to share what your mission is? But that's an invitation.
Mm.
And how do you carry that some days?
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
there's so much in this, brother. Thank you for asking. I think what you said about the monkey mind, and that sense of achievement. One thing I've noticed as a self-employed entrepreneur, I consider myself. I've got a lot of projects over the years, from touring the world as an independent musician for the last 20 years, really successfully, to all the other bits and pieces I do with Tribal Moon and the business coaching, and then my music schools and everything else. And one thing I've learned is that day-to-day mindset of feeling satisfied and feeling full, like I've done something. It doesn't take much to get that sensation, but it's got to be something. If I go too many days without feeling like I've achieved something, and that achievement could just be doing, the keywords for an SEO on a web page or something, like it might be, say, Tribal and Cacao, and it's something I've been putting off, maybe updating the keywords that people, when they look up on Google for that, that's an achievement. And you do something like that, and as little as it might be, it gives a sense of an achievement. And for me, knocking those things off throughout each day, which is why I have my list, which I've just upgraded my random lists. I've got here like a million pieces of paper all over my desk, right? And I keep piling them up. So I've just now upgraded to a book. So now the pieces of paper are going to be in a book, so that's going to be a little more efficient to keep it in there and knock off those tasks every day, and that gives me a sense of accountability. It gives me a sense of accountability, but more so even success and like I've done something today. It's so easy to get caught up in a circle of running around like a chicken with your head cut off and not feeling like you're doing anything, even though you might be planting the seeds for a million things. It's not until you do the one thing that it all starts feeling, at least in your heart, in the day to day. So I think that's a big thing for me, and it's a big thing I see with my friends and my clients and my other business coaches, etc. It's huge. So what am I creating at the moment? So I'm creating, my big project for this year is creating the back end and launching the Australian Music School for Autism and Special Interest Learning. So that is my life's work of teaching within the spectrum and teaching also out of the spectrum, also combining all my work and studies in, energetics, intimacy, yoga, kundalini, breath work, all of that. Really, a lot of the principles, there's not any necessarily any yoga or breath work or energetics coaching straight up with the courses, but there is, in a sense of, one of the big things going to be brought with this is enabling kids to be feeling confident for achieving these things on the list, throughout the day, to get that sense of achievement, but really bring that accountability. It's something that I see a lot with the students and clients that come to me today more than ever before. It's like when YouTube came out, I thought that, well, there goes the career as an online guitar teacher or whatever it might be. It actually has gone, I would say, not tenfold, but 100-fold or 1,000-fold for me, of students reaching out to learn with me because they're going on YouTube and failing in their story, and then reaching out to someone that they feel like they connect more or has the ability to teach them those bite-sized pieces of information in the way they interpret it, which is what I specialize in, the way I specialize in teaching. And I feel like you're a big part, a lot that way too, brother, from teaching, from studying with you a lot and being coached by you. You're so good at breaking those bite-sized pieces down to palatable pieces for that particular person, and you'll say it a completely different way for one person from one person to the next. And that's the beauty about this one-on-one teaching. But that accountability is actually going to be a big part of the beginning of the journey for anyone that comes to the autism school, no matter how heavy in the spectrum they are, or how light they are in the spectrum, from say being barely noticeable to being barely functional. These courses cater for everyone, and that what I've created is very unique and very special, and I feel really confident in saying it even to you right now. Like, I've got nothing to hide that I'm creating it. I don't feel like anyone else can steal my thunder and create what I'm creating, because no one knows what I know and no one's lived what I've lived and has the experience that I've lived. So for anyone else to create these courses for the Australian Music School for Autism, I know what I'm creating is so special and so empowering, and the core key is giving these kids confidence. So that's a little taste of what I'm creating.
I think there's a beautiful message in there for everyone listening as well. And that would be, where you referenced, I feel really authentic. I feel really strong and confident in what I'm creating here, that no one can, mimic or copy this. But therein lies the beautiful part about being the creator.
Yeah.
In that you constantly evolve the course. And so I might copy you today. That's a year-old content for you. That's like morphed 5 times since before I get it actually live.
Yeah.
And so they're always chasing, the leader, which is you. And I think that's a really beautiful message for everyone out there, to back yourself, believe in what you do, take everything that you've learned and alchemize it, put your own salt and pepper and sauces on it and make it yours. And when you're the creator of your own modality, you're the creator of your own method or whatever that may be, you're always in front. And yes, people will copy you, which is the highest form of flattery. It's like, oh my God, this thing changed my life. Let me plagiarize it. But you've already evolved it. So you're always in front. And I know as a person, you're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Like, Jay is never the same Jay. Every week there's a whole new level that comes through. Speaking of which, speaking of new levels, you mentioned one of your modalities is Kundalini.
Yeah.
Phew, how is that? Like,
Man, the first time I witnessed like a Kundalini awakening experience, it was actually, yeah, with a dear brother of mine. I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning is Tim Morrison, who's an amazing breathwork
oh, wow.
facilitator, and we did a lot of our Kundalini and sort of Tantra energetic studies together. And it was the first time I ever saw like a Kundalini awakening in the physical form of an explosion was with Tim, and it was on I think my second or third day into this incredible program with Chantel Raven and Dr. Simon
You did
Martin.
the Kundalini with it.
Yeah,
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 wow.
that was all because that's what Simon specializes in, and Chantel as well. But Simon's, that's his coming from his background with like chiropractic work and neurology and psychology. It's just like phenomenal magic that he has to share, and his ability to
Mm.
activate this in people is like he's so in tune with it. There's quite a few people like that, especially coming from some of the Indian kind of gurus and masters that have that ability to just almost just touch someone on their shoulder and set off a whole chain of events, physical release, catharsis and shaking and all the things. It's funny because I always saw it in see it in church and stuff. You see it on the Blues Brothers
Yep.
movie or whatever, and everyone's kind of shaking like it's Jesus, and it may well be. I'm not saying it's not, but then to see it Kundalini and seeing Kundalini awake, it's like, I'm like, oh, that thing that happens at church, I never worked that out. I never got that, but I see now it's just a Kundalini awakening, right? So,
100%.
which and God too, it's the same kind of thing. Like God, Kundalini, it's all one. So it's literally the same thing at the church, possibly too. Um, but yeah, it was
Yeah,
life changing.
100%.
But I didn't believe it the first time I witnessed it. I thought it was like fake. Like I literally went up to Tim the next day and went, "So, brother, like I know we don't know each other too well, but you just seem so authentic, man, and so legit, and I just resonate so deeply with your energy. But just tell me the truth, man. Like, what happened yesterday? That wasn't you staged that, right? Like, did they like pay you a little bit or something to make you do that?" He's like, "No, bro, that
Yeah,
was insane." And then they
that
proceeded
was legit.
to teach. Then they proceeded to teach us how to activate those things and be in places and create learn the tools to assist people in basically moving stuck energy, right? So for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, do yourself a favor, type
Yeah.
Kundalini into Google and see what comes up. Kundalini,
Or maybe don't, because
Kundalini, or maybe don't.
when you see it online, you're going to be just as skeptical as you were, because you're
Yes.
like, what the? But when you do it, you're like, can I go again? Can
Yeah.
I do that again?
Yeah.
When's my next one? You got to integrate that stuff too. You can't just do that and back up tomorrow. That
No.
sometimes takes weeks to integrate,
Absolutely, and we're
which is
talking
amazing.
we're
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about something that's hard to define in words for starters, and we're talking about something that a lot of people have completely contrasting opinions and stories around. So, it's all welcome, and feel free to share your stories in the chats and all that. But yeah, just life changing, brother. And again, I wanted more. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's like I want more of that, and that led on that whole journey, and then being able to integrate that with sacred sexuality with my beloved, and spiritual practices, breath work, myself, and seeing that there's activations in breath work. I mean, you must have seen a lot of it in breath work too, right?
Seen heaps of it. It's mind blowing. I don't know why I still get surprised after every session. I walk out and go, like, that actually worked. It's like unbelievable. Kundalini, I think, is at a new level though. Maybe that's maybe that's me downplaying breathwork. Maybe, don't know, but Kundalini was, just personally, I've done a lot of personal breathwork, and the Kundalini was, they're
Mm.
all closely entwined. It's not one's better than the other, but yeah, it's amazing what you see. Like, a lot of people don't realize when you do a breathwork session, and they lay down, but when they come and see it as an observer, it's it's frightening for them. They're not ready for that level of energy release
Yeah.
or that exposure to that level of energy. Um, Very powerful, especially in groups. When you get up to a 70 or 100 men, especially, um, and you open that doorway for them.
Hmm.
There's a lot of energy.
When I did my
Beautiful, though.
Kundalini,
It's always
yeah,
beautiful.
so beautiful, brother. When I did my Kundalini yoga teacher training in India, and just doing these regular, deep, long practices every morning for hours and hours and hours, just, with a quick lunch and dinner
Mm.
break. Um, it's amazing learning that control to begin to activate it
Yeah.
yourself and being able to, um, put the things in place to keep that in the current. And equally, it's as easy to lose it or to forget about it, especially in this day and age, like it is with any of these practices. And even coming things to back to things like exercise, and something that you've assisted me with a lot lately, that accountability to show up for myself and commit to exercise. And it's so funny how we're often putting these things last in the priority of our life. And it's even down to love making, maybe with our partners. It's often not the priority. It's often, I know straight up from me, it's often not the priority. And this year especially, with the workload that I've chosen to put on myself, that I've really committed to for this year, it's not at the top of my priority list like ideally I would like it to be. But it's that balance of being on the mission and all the things too. It's I guess a whole nother can of worms. But it's interesting how we don't prioritize these things often, but the benefits from them, as soon as you start, the workouts, the sexuality, the fitness, the health, all that, you start feeling $1 million and be like, why did I do that?
Why did I forget? Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, just going to loop back a little bit, is have you got a practice that and this might be helpful for, the listeners. Have you got a practice where, yes, you've committed to work, yes, you've committed to these hours, and there's the greater mission, and a man on his purpose is his divine alignment, and he's, generally speaking, his beloved would celebrate that, even though she realizes that she may be going without some of her time. She can see that he's a man on purpose and can trust that.
Mm.
However, there may be a void for her now. So have you got a practice? Have you got a reminder how you can come back and, do you carve out specific time and you go, you know what, honey, next 3 days I'm booked, but at the end of that, I'm yours. I don't know. What's your method?
Yeah, we've carved out time. We've specifically, and this doesn't work for a lot of people who like to flow more in the moment. And this is, again, I think the main thing I'd like to say is it's always evolving and it's always changing. Okay, so what
Mm.
works for us this week may well not work for us next week. But what we've come to, we've had really deep, really present conversations about these things to find the perfect solution for both of us in this time. And that has been to put aside a full day for the family, and then a pretty much like a half day for us specifically, and then whatever we get in between, and just making the most of that as it goes. So in that time, just coming back to that accountability of not scheduling in anything in that time. And on that full day with the families, it doesn't mean to say I might not, I don't know, mow the lawns or get the boat clean so we go on a boat trip or something. There's always bits and pieces, but it's that energy around it that we're there for each other on those days, and that's the priority, and that's the priority for that time and that day. That's working for us right now really well. We just feel so close. Today's my day with my beloved, so we've just just up till now I've had the whole day with my beloved, and then from now is my first part's like 3:50, and then I've got students and clients till 9 p.m. So it works, but that might not work. Next week she might say, look, that's not enough for me, I need more. I might say that too, or I might say the opposite, it's too much. And I'm putting, this is not always going to be like this. Like, this year is huge for me, and I feel it's really relevant what you said about having a man that's on purpose as well. That's a very attractive quality, to be with a partner, a man or a woman who's on point and on purpose. but being honest and speaking my truth about my passion and where I'm at with this year. And right now, it's so in the current for me with what I'm creating with my autism school, that it's not even compromisable. It's just a thing. So I'm very blessed that I have a partner right now who's supportive of that. Yeah.
I think it's important too that these things, they're seasons. You're not going to be, well, I mean, some people do run at this level all the time because they're avoiding, but I know you're not. I know this is a very deliberate and intentional sprint for you.
Yeah.
It's it's not, it's a all out effort for a defined period of time to get this plane off the ground so that the time, I think the phrase we used was not exchanging time for money, where we've got this like evergreen product that is just, and it gives us time back.
Yeah.
But that doesn't come without a cost, and that cost is happening right now.
Yeah. Yep, 100%, brother.
Yeah.
And I know it's all going to pay off, and it just feels really good, again, to be supported by a partner who's able to hold that space and come back consistently to solidarity and love, and just to be fully chosen. Like we've spoken in those other things in this time, is just
Yeah.
I just feel like the luckiest guy in the world, and just like any other couples, we have all our ups and downs, and going deep on so many things in our chats today. It's things that are coming up, things we want to improve, things we want to get rid of and no longer have in the field. So it's just beautiful to have that again. Communication, communication, communication. Right.
Yeah.
So, and what about you, brother? We started today's chat with you saying you're feeling a bit overwhelmed with work, and what things are you putting in place, or what are you doing about it?
Even just voicing it loosens the noose.
Yeah.
Voicing that I'm feeling overwhelmed dissipates the overwhelmed feeling. I'm like, okay, I had this feeling of overwhelm. I've expressed it, I've exercised it out of me, and no longer is there a sense, because I realized that I'm on purpose right now in this chat. This podcast is purpose for me. Um, the work that I'm doing is on purpose. I don't need to be anywhere. This has all come through in a download from this last 20 minutes.
That's why we're
I
here,
don't need to
brother.
be
That's
anywhere. I'm
why
right
we're
where I need to be.
Yeah.
I just need to just flow with it and accept right where I'm at.
Yeah.
And right where I'm at's beautiful. Like, I'm blessed. I have these ideas and these opportunities to serve the world. And yeah, simply voicing it is often enough. Yeah, which is amazing. So thank you for that.
Man, that's
Yeah.
something that I really just bring that simply voicing it is just enough. Simply voicing it is just enough. It is often just enough, but again, it's to be witnessed and be held in that safety and trust when we're simply voicing it is the catalyst. Because when you simply voice it and you're judged or shut down, or have all the opinions thrown at you, or told that you're wrong, or you're sick, or you're disgusting, or you shouldn't say that or shouldn't do that, that's the difference. Because in that space, when it's that held and seen, and be like, and what else do you feel? That's all that needs to be said. And for all the men out there, like right now listening, if you want a little secret trick with your beautiful beloved, just try saying nothing. Just try doing nothing except things like, is there anything else? Thank you for sharing with me. What do you need? Is there anything more? Is there anything relevant that you feel to share that you haven't shared? What else is there? And just do nothing. It's such a powerful tool.
Yeah. Very. And as men, we're not wired that way.
No.
It takes a lot of work.
Yeah, we want to solve the problems, and that is often coming from a beautiful place. Like, let us help you, let us fix it. No, we don't say let us fix you, but let us fix the situation. Let us fix him, fix you, fix whatever. That's the unconscious 3D thing that comes to us, and it's not but we're bad people. Some people might, I don't know. That's probably a silly thing to say, but you know what I mean. We're generally coming from our hearts. I can only speak for myself, and generally come from my heart, but the natural characteristic is to want to fix it, when actually every time I do nothing and simply listen and hold space, the closeness, the unity, the intimacy that we experience, the communication that we experience, not just with my beloved, but with my friends, with my brothers and my sisters, my family, my mum, my dad, it's just, yeah, moments to be silent.
Very powerful. Less is more.
And on that note, brother, I think we'll wrap it up there and
Indeed.
continue on next week.
We will.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. Wonderful to see you, mate. See you soon.
See you soon.